Hello and welcome to my review for Kingfisher's A Sorceress Comes to Call. This is a new release by Kingfisher. She's one of my favorite authors. I've read quite a few of her books. Haven't read them all because she writes quite prolifically, but this is her newest one that just came out not too long ago. This is a fairy tale retelling of The Goose Girl. And it's kind of a dark fairy tale retelling. I kind of liked how Kingfisher leaned into the creepy part of this story. I don't think I'd ever read The Goose Girl before, so that's something I might want to read. I've read some retellings of The Goose Girl, but they were so long ago that I really don't remember much about them, and I don't think I've ever read the original Goose Girl fairy tale. I think it's a Grimm's fairy tale. So this wasn't a familiar story to me, which made it all the more fun, I think. So this story follows a girl, Cordelia, and her mother. Her mother is a sorceress who is very abusive and unpredictable, and her mother wants to marry this man, the squire, to get enough money that she can pay for Cordelia to basically have a coming out season so that she can marry Cordelia off to a rich man and they can be kind of set for life. What we quickly find out is that Cordelia's mom will make her obey, and what that means is she basically takes control of Cordelia's body. So Cordelia is aware of everything that's happening, she can feel everything that's happening, but she is not in control. Her mom will do this for various reasons. It is quite disturbing, like, reading these scenes. It's one of the first opening scenes is Cordelia, like, wanting to move because there's a fly crawling around on her hand, but she can't because her mom is controlling her. And I really liked that, again, leaning into the darker fairy tale retelling. This is very creepy. Most of the story takes place with the squire and his sister named Hester. Hester is one of Kingfisher's classic cranky older woman character who is kind of out of her element and doesn't really know how to help, but is going to do her best to try. I really loved that. I also like that Cordelia was not one of Kingfisher's typical characters. Cordelia has been abused most of her life. Her mom is unpredictable. She can't figure out when her mom's going to react in a good or a bad way. She's going to get angry at Cordelia for closing a door, or she's going to get angry at her for not saying the right thing to the squire. So Cordelia is this, like, mousy, scared, abused girl. She's like 14, I think, and she acts that way. She's not like a strong heroine, like, I'm going to take down my mom and save the day. So she relies a lot on the people around her, and her kindness makes her friends, and Hester and some other people quickly rally around her to try to figure out how to stop her mom. And I really enjoyed the characters in this story. Hester is a cranky woman in, like, her 50s. Her knees hurt when she walks up the stairs and she's getting older. But she has a lot of spunk and a lot of smarts. And I really enjoyed reading from her perspective. And I liked reading from Cordelia as she kind of finds her voice and finds the strength with her newfound companions to kind of stand up to her mom. I really enjoyed that. One downside, I think, is that this is one of Kingfisher's longer books. She really writes short books. This one is like 320 pages, so it's not long by any means, just long for Kingfisher. And I thought that it dragged a little bit because the setting was mostly in one place for, like, the entire story. There's a little bit at the end and a little bit at the beginning in other places, but the main chunk of the story takes place in one setting. And there's lots of conversations. So this has, like, a Regency era kind of setting. So think sort of Jane Austen-y. And we just spent a really long time at the squire's house, and it kind of drug a little bit. Now, I will say that I was not in the best reading mood. I'm taking a really hard class right now that's just taking a lot of brain power. And I didn't have a lot of time for reading, so I was reading in little chunks, which was making it kind of drag out longer than it should. Like normally I can read a T. Kingfisher in 1 or 2 days. This one took like almost 2 weeks, I think, maybe more. So it could have just been my mood that made me feel like it was dragging a little bit and not necessarily the book's fault. So overall, I really enjoyed this book. I really like the magic in it. It's not really a hard magic system, but we did get to learn a little bit about it. I would not be upset if she wrote more in this world. I think it's really interesting, and I'd be intrigued to know what else she would write. I think it would be really cool. I love her humor in this book. As always, T. Kingfisher just writes things that just make me smirk while I read them, and I really enjoyed it. I love the characters, and I thought it was a cute story. I would give this maybe like a 4 stars. It's not my favorite of hers, but it's definitely up there with her fairy tale retellings. My favorite ones are Bryony and Roses and The Seventh Bride. Those are my 2 favorite fairy tale retellings of hers, so if you haven't read those are some of her backlist, and you should definitely read them. I read both of those in 24 hours each, so I really flew through them. And if I remember right, The Seventh Bride has a little hedgehog companion for our main character, which is adorable. So yeah, I would recommend this. If you like T. Kingfisher, read this because it's more of the same. And if you haven't tried her before, if you like older female main characters, if you like Regency settings and magic mixing, if you like a little bit of a spooky fairy tale retelling, I think you'll really enjoy this book. If you have read this book, let me know who your favorite character was. Mine was definitely Hester. She was fabulous to read from, and I really enjoyed her story. Thank you for watching this review, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!